need to be at points we need to take risks and try to work differently and ensure that the right technology is adjusted in. We are blessed with the volumes, so costs for us should not be a worry about. So he was observing those pretty closely, and then he was finding what are the issues and what would be the needs, and so we decided to go for ventilators. And it was easy for us because the hardware is already been developed. EVs are going to last for years and years. So a loss of 3 months, and I don't think so. It's going to be in long term. For example, for the motors, engine is replaced by the motors, but the characteristics are very different. Motor is completely a modulable characteristic where you can control the torque and speed as you want. It's unlike the engine. It's a constant speed kind of or limited speed range kind of operation.
Hi, this is Shirish Kulkarni, founder and CEO of STROTA Consultech, running this company for last 5 years into business consulting, helping small and medium businesses to grow. And with this initiative called as HATKE, we are talking to various personalities, various individuals, various industry leaders who have done things differently, who have looked at life differently, who have looked at business differently, and have been dabbled into completely different types of value propositions, products that for that matter. So we have a great honor to have Abhay Patwardhan with us today. So Abhay, welcome to this forum.
Yeah, thank you.
Wonderful. So Abhay is a different kind of individual who has done his engineering and has been in the space of electric vehicles. Maybe from the time that we might not have been aware of it, but right from the time that a model called as Reva had been existing, he has been associated with it, and he has got a lot of progressions around, and now he's dabbling, getting into manufacturing of batteries, a lot of research onto that. So Abhay, could you just tell us about your journey and how do you look at the current situation?
Yeah. So as you told, right, I think I was destined to get into the electric vehicle stream. Mm-hmm. My basic degree being in electrical, post-graduation in power electronics. I think that also is complementary from the skills perspective as well. Whether you look at architecture level or deployment level. So initially around 13 years, like 1993 to nearly 2006 was mostly the journey in hardcore power electronics. Mm-hmm. Again, most of the times working as an entrepreneurial attitude or an entrepreneurial role. When you say that, it's basically working with no net below. Typically an acumen of that even into the spectrum of power electronics for first 13 years, where we did a lot of different things for defense industries. We worked on the biggest indigenization program for submarines. And we worked on even the high-end programs like Prithvi. I worked very closely with all the DRDO labs. We actually we created a biggest 15,000 amps 12 volt. That is the biggest electroplating rectifier, I think, in 98 or so. So a kind of journey, then started my own company, failed it miserably. So a lot of learning out of that. Mm-hmm. And with all that thing, one thing was very clear. Okay, technical things are assumed and should be assumed, definitely. So there is nothing greatness. But then what is critical is basically deploying or converting into a product which is sustainable. Okay. And when I say product, it means all aspects of product, right from marketing to the servicing to the basically design, managing the complete economics of the business and everything. All. True. So that's the most critical. Otherwise, technical things are anyway taken for granted today. And I'm a strong believer that is a right thought process even in the long run. Mm. So with all the perspectives of all these things, all good things and failures and all, I accidentally landed into electric vehicle field. I joined TCS as a consultant for some drive programs or something. Mm-hmm. And then eventually TCS for nearly 5 years. Now this entire 5-year journey was majorly around EV technologies.
Okay.
And yeah, initial 2 years I joined the TCS only because consultant, because I didn't want any committed job, because as I told you, my business liabilities were to be covered for, and full-time commitment was not possible. And TCS was also not was looking for some consultancy positions. But eventually, I was one of a person in TCS who assumed the responsibility ownership even before formally getting on board. The spectrum I learned was basically working hardcore into the electric vehicle technologies. One good thing about this to the outside technologies, be it Europe.
People take it simplistically that, what is the difference between a normal vehicle and electric vehicle, that the engine is replaced by maybe the battery and motor, and then you have instead of fuel a battery. So I believe that the whole thing is pretty complex, right, Abhay?
Yeah, moment I think the simplicity in expression comes, right, then it means that there is a huge burden of the complexity at the technology. And yeah, and that's absolutely, even it's good at one sense, because until that complexity is achieved, I think the simplicity cannot be. For example, for the motors, yeah, engine is replaced by the motors, but the characteristics are very different. Motor is completely a modulable characteristic where you can control the torque and speed as you want. It's unlike the engine; it's a constant speed kind of, or limited speed range kind of operations. So there is a change in the philosophy of reduction gears and all, clutches. So complete mechanics or downstream complete mechanics is to be questioned or needs to be redone. So a simple engine replaced by motor is actually replacing the complete drivetrain, means a complete re-engineering of the nearly 30% of the vehicle parts from that perspective. Similarly, battery fuel is compared to the battery. Now, actually, it's the fuel tank which needs to be compared to the battery.
Right.
The battery stores energy, fuel tank stores energy. Now, to store equivalent energy of a fuel tank, the battery needs to be at. So, energy density of the battery is a big question when you talk of energy on board. So I think I see we are in the interim phase, because that's the major problem to be challenge to be solved as an engineering problem, reducing the weight of the energy on board, giving more and more mileage at the reduced weight penalties is one of the volume penalties. And I think forward technologies like fuel cell vehicles and all are going to be the one which will dominate in the future, where battery will be required, but a very different characteristic battery and a different size of the battery.
Right. So, as we are speaking about electric vehicle, and if we switch back, roll back 3 months, we have this advent of sudden virus coming in picture, and there has been a talk that okay, business is stopped. Oh yeah, well, EV. Maybe we'll have to think about EV a little bit late, or we will have to revisit the whole plans, and OEMs are thinking. So, is it really impacted so much as the electric vehicle space, or?
I don't absolutely. Actually, I find it's an opportunity, because it has at least given you an isolated time of 3 months where your customers are not keeping up. There's a customer pressure is a bit lifted up, and at the same time, even the expectations from all quadrants are becoming quite moderate, because there are a lot of excuses, even, right? Material is not available, so many things. So you can have a good isolated time where you can do a lot of things which otherwise would not, you will not get bandwidth to or privilege to look at. Definition of any architectures, or doing the looking for the maturity of the technologies from the software perspective, architecture perspective. So those kind of so those are actually an opportunity to have a matured engineering. That's how I see. EVs are going to last for years and years. So a loss of 3 months, and I don't think so. It's going to be in long term. We should be even it will be pretty minuscule in that. Right. Definitely, we are talking of a big long term stuff here. So what has but definitely, like for example, we got a good opportunity to look back into complete our algorithms, do a lot of whatever things which are put into back burners, which were important but not urgent. And I think that that typical quadrant of the addressing that will never get time, important and not urgent, and that's in long term they are the ones which are actually the impacting ones, and we could get the time to sort out. So a lot of technology enhancements we could do in last 3 months. a good thing is even we could even repurpose our BMS to develop a ventilator, which we did in last 3 months.
Huh?
Yeah, we like Vijay just said on 28th of March that he is in US and he sees the things over there very closely, and they have been into pandemic before us, so they are front runners, and I think so a lot of learnings from them. Well, so he was observing those pretty closely, and then he was finding what are the issues and what would be the needs, and so we decided to go for ventilators. And it was easy for us because the hardware is already been developed. Okay, because nowadays for any product, majorly what we say is programming the brain is the major key. Otherwise, most of the components are indigenously available. Few sensors are difficult to get, but I think with last 2 months, these restrictions for these uh, 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 atoms being lifted for the transports and all, I think those are made available now. So our BMS we could repurpose completely as a ventilator controller. And since we already had an IoT platform developed and some Android applications, we could just reskill our team to develop some quick app, and we realize actually a ventilator, which can be used in the present situation.
Right.
Definitely, it's not a frontline equipment. Neither we are the medical people, but I think we could realize something which would be.
So two things I see that, it's a absolutely lateral thought, thinking Hatke, where you are thinking about, where you are firstly thinking about electric vehicle and its subsystems like battery, which gives energy, and there is a controller for that. We're looking at that controller to be used even for some life-saving kind of an approach in healthcare. That to a ventilator, which typically gets used as a critical stage of life in maybe ICU. So I would say, where do you get this kind of vibrancy? Because as an engineer, we have been taught over years, to be structured, one after the other.
Correct. See, make few unlearnings at the earlier phase, right? Have put a clear-cut perspective. Like there are critical applications. One are the most complex domains from the software perspective or hardware, where the reliability perspective are this aerospace industry. Then after that comes medical industry, and then automotive. So anything which is developed for automotive is very much near to the perfection from the reliability perspective, performance perspective, which can be repurposed even for medical with the small changes. But the basic reliability in the hardware is already built in. So that was one thought process that we for repurposing our BMS, because it has already been designed with few iterations, tested on the field and all. So it was software repurposing of that. So that was 130 that we should attempt this, and something quick need to be attempted. So the regular architectural ways, definitely neither we will do it, and neither it can be even dreamt of doing in any of this kind of time frame. But
in fact, I heard, I heard that it has been tested, it has been validated, verified, getting to the next level from the leading healthcare institutes, right, in Pune.
Yeah. We are working with leading healthcare institute in Pune. They have been guiding us for the algorithms, because we don't know the medical side of it. So from engineering to clinical side, that bridge, I think they are helping us, and it's been tested over by them as well.
I think it is, if I look back, looking at pandemic as a window of availability, time availability, resource availability, efforts availability, and using it constructively for not only our own products, but also looking at adjacencies and wide, long adjacencies, I would call it. Maybe it is a technology adjacency, but application is like far-fetched into other verticals. It's a great thing.
Yeah, it's a great thing. And in the pandemic, like people see, initial 2 months, people were so scared by this bombardment of news, uncertainties, because we all were yet to be used to the uncertainty. It was initial anxiety, we can say. And so people actually wanted to go away from that. And they delivered much beyond normal during those periods, even working at home. So most of the software has been developed working at home. Nobody even met each other. It was only telephone calls, but the kind of time they were putting onto these efforts were mammoth. Even normally those they will hardly, it's not seen even those are put in your regular non-pandemic or our regular kind of working. And even the people who wanted to supported wholeheartedly because they had a different cause. It's majorly because people wanted to work differently. And so a lot of support has come even from our friends and all very promptly. Has realized this.
Right. What I can say is that when pushed to the wall, I mean, I think it has all kind of put everybody on the same plane, right? Like everybody is looking for, if we look at that Maslow's triangle to be inverted, where roti kapda makan becomes everybody's today's kind of a question and tomorrow's question. I think everybody came with that common cause of helping the very basic things like being being alive.
Correct.
Is a purpose, and then I think that would have definitely got a lot of energy into the whole system.
Yes, absolutely. Because I think that was the easiest thing where your mind can get engaged. Okay, when you are doing something of this kind, and I think that's the approach which has helped the people while working.
Right.
They were more stable for last 3 months only because we all were working on to this cause.
Right. It is said that need is always need becomes the origin of any invention that is to happen. So, do you think that we can create some kind of an artificial? Now, pandemic is not something that we can create, right? So, for generation of this kind of ideas and these situations and solutions, if you want to kind of make that as an incubation thought process, do you have some kind of lateral thoughts on that? How we can get?
Yeah. See, the need is definitely is the trigger point for the inventions, and that that needs to be always created. So I think some efforts to create that needs to be thing number one. Thing number two is need definitely gives rise to inventions, but into a sustainable, reliable product is a completely different kind of. It's a matured engineering process or the. So that needs to be also kept in mind when reacting to such kind of situations.
True. Right. I think even if we look at two different verticals, one maybe from auto or industrial to healthcare. I was talking to the healthcare experts also, where they are also taking it with open hands, saying that okay, fine, something new is coming. But since we have been here for maybe more than 30-50 years, we would like to expect that kind of a association for a longer term kind of understanding of the whole thing to be implemented, established, so that it becomes a replacement for whatever we have been using, importing mainly. I think all this equipment currently are getting imported. It's a very important import substitution, but we have to be invested in this for a little bit longer time, right?
Yes, absolutely. Because we definitely say whatever we have brought it up in 3 months is not at all in any way we are competing with any of the established players. We cannot. Okay, but it is something which will give some alternative if there are frontline equipments or at points where the need is arise. This will give a sustainable alternative to pull through. Now, it means that within 3 months we can establish those 70% kind of performance aspects of it, and then the maturity journey from 70% to the 100% is really going to be quite exponential. And that needs to be nurtured and should be carried forward. That's very important. Once that is done, probably we will have a good sustainable import substitute products make in India with the same performance or a better performance, better reliabilities, and the better cost propositions.
Yeah. Going back to what we were saying, actually, I heard a couple of times that technical aspect or technology aspect is taken for granted, and other whole development process, right from inception, R&D, prototyping, to maybe a pilot run to really productionization, stable, get market and roll it as something which is profitable. I get a sense whenever you say that, okay, fine, it is assumed to be there, right? I mean, I get a sense that it is extremely, immensely important part that you are putting it intentionally, very humbly.
Yeah, because see, technology is granted because the remaining part is much more important from the product gestation perspective or product converting any technology into product. because technology aspect of it is more or less an isolated exercise where a small team of people know what they are doing, even they know the shortfalls. Many times they are quite open-minded to understand what's needed, plow back, all that. Many times they have control on the things, but really symphony need not come over there. But when it goes out of that hand, right up to the customer, the entire process is a symphony. So everybody has to play in that, and any weak link in that is going to be resulting directly to impact to the customer.
Right.
And that's precisely the reason why I say that technology is to be taken as granted, because that's something which is very controlled. Because the team over there mostly research minded, their ability of learnings and all exceptionally good, because that's what the slot demands. So they know their things well, and they can take care of the things also in a better way. Because they are working isolation.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But moment the symphony comes, I think that's very critical, and that's where it's very important. And that has to, as an Indian, we are satisfied when we invent something. But no, we should be satisfied when we convert it into product. Invention will take as a part of the process.
I think what I'm hearing is that your heart definitely goes for that engineering success, where that that kind of a Yahoo comes and Eureka comes when that thing starts working. I believe that would be your experience in also ventilator when it started working, maybe late in the night sometime. But the experienced entrepreneur from your back is saying and pushing you, saying that okay, no, all this is important. Take care of the market, take care of the feedback, take care of the product development, and make sure that the whole thing eventually becomes successful, because that is what makes you as a complete entrepreneur, and that gets converted into a business, right?
Absolutely.
Right. I think I see a completely transformed, humble individual, still maintaining that innovation, satisfaction in creation of new things, converted into a little bit of a shrewd entrepreneur to face realities and compulsions and constraints, but still with open heart, I believe.
Thank you.
Excellent. So moving forward, as I look back, maybe a question about being an engineer from College of Engineering Pune. I'm also a product of College of Engineering Pune. Do you see when you go back to your college days, have you envisaged yourself to be doing something that you are doing, or maybe the college going Abhay would ask some question and get some answers from that time, 1990s, 1992, 93?
Actually, to be frank enough, not, because we actually in college days we had some subjects which were on the second, I think third or fourth year, core electrical subjects on motor controls and all, and after that we literally forgot about it for next 20 years. Okay. From 1993 to 2006, and all of a sudden 2006 me to look into all those subjects very, very deeply for motor controls and directly realize them onto the product itself or vehicles itself, kind of thing. So I think, yeah, so whatever, many times what we see is engineering is an academics, and then when you go into professional, there is a huge gap between academics and professional, and you better use academics to build your aptitude to take the challenges. Mostly the thought process, which almost 90% of the a good mass of us has. Definitely there comes opportunities where you have to really apply those engineerings, and even after a gap of 15-20 years, which we have, there's a plan. So I think had we done that at that time very religiously, right, I would have spent a lot of months in 2006. That's definitely I can look at.
Right. I think it's very natural, and this is a good message for students of engineering, where they have to do their studies better and make sure that their basics are ready and sharpened anytime they want to revisit. I think that could be done very effectively. Any
What we
message?
always say is physics has to be of utmost. So you cannot delink physics at all in whichever field you want to be. It could be engineering, medical, anything.
Also for entrepreneurs, I believe there's a strong message of learning the end-to-end process of what the customer wants, translate that into eventually product cycle, right?
And customer has got very weird problems, but those are real engineering problems, and don't look at those as uh, because he knows much better than us very clearly.
Right. Now, a little bit of a kind of a hatke question, but trying to pull some threads around. How much of an entrepreneur should be a innovator or creator or a technocrat? Any kind of guidance you want to set, or you have to juggle the hats, you have to change the hats, or when it comes
Yeah,
to.
mostly you'll have to juggle the hats. Okay. And entrepreneur better be only business focused, because there are a lot of lab responsibilities and liabilities from that side, because he's just not talking of technology or something, he's talking of sustaining multiple lives
Mm,
depending on the business. And technology that I told you, right, they and there where I say they are taken for granted. So if he has got an ability to choose right people, I think much better done there, and let the people work.
superb, superb. Uh, Thinking about being from the same college again, I'll bring that topic, but thinking about our alumni, the individuals like us already in the market, doing different things, either as an entrepreneur, business owner, or
Hmm.
part of corporate. Any kind of message that you want to give, like that they should.
Yeah, typically,
Mm,
yeah, typically our age, right, 50 plus kind of people is very so well settled in life. Almost all of us, and I think we have accrued a lot of things monetarily as well as experience wise, which we can give back.
mm, mm,
Okay. I put another concept like if people are talking of systematic now, systematic investment plan, SIPs.
mm,
Uh, I come with another concept is systematic social contribution plan. Why not to have such kind of even approach over there? Because there are a lot of people. There are a lot of, first of all, the we owe to the society.
yeah, well,
Okay, because they have given us opportunity, we are here definitely.
mm,
So we have to be given back, and there are a lot of people who are doing great work. We cannot do anything beyond money perspective, because that's easily exchangeable, and it works as well, because that's some. So that is a big. My easiest part is contribute monetarily something, but even if you can contribute from the beyond monetization, that is also going to help. Because after 2014, when I came to Pune, right, I took 1 month gap, and I went to Melghat in Amravati.
mhm,
I came across one organization there, NGO MAHA in Mahan,
mhm,
and he's a doctor couple who has been settled there since 1995. I just wrote to him that I want to come to you, and I have to just stay with you. That's all. I want to
okay.
talk to you closely.
Mm,
He said, "You come down." And then I went there, and for nearly another 10 days, I was wandering around all across the Melghat, and that
mm,
eye opener. The kind of scarcity of resources they have got, and still working with that commitment, running some models which are sustainable in those cases, because most of the things become individual centric, because
mm,
contributions become more or less being triggered by individuals, and their continuity becomes big challenge. Having a model which trying to establish a model which is sustainable, and those kind of it was pretty eye opening. And then I realized that, yeah, I think it's a lot of things what we can give back to the society. One is monetary, then even you can help them with whatever. Simplest thing is they didn't know how which inverter they should put, because there are 8 hours kind of power
mm,
shortages
battery.
summer.
Mm,
Now having fridge is a huge burden onto the solar. So we found like your car inverters may work.
uh-huh.
So that solution which I gave them, and sent some car inverters. So you can actually contribute anyway. Then the people. There are a lot of solar panels or solar lights been distributed to these things. But once these are gone bad, right, there is no service support.
Mm,
And it's actually a cycle. Again, they want to re-donate, or there are a lot of other aspects of it. But irony is that's a good thing where even local people can sustain themselves for their life. So we had a workshop at where we taught those people how to repair a solar lamp, made available spare parts through local companies and all, and even sustained a couple of those workers for 6-7 months, so that they become to establish a model that they can be a
super.
self-sustainable in those areas by servicing these kind of things. So it's very similar. Right? It's need not be only monetary, but there are a lot of things we can contribute
to the
to.
society back.
I think, and I see like as we do our investment systematically, I think we should do our contribution
Contributions.
systematically.
It's an amazing concept of giving back. I think there is a sense of giving back to the society, to the mankind, maybe to the earth, and to individuals who have contributed, maybe to the college also. I think it's a wonderful thought. So, Abhay, I just wanted to ask you, over a period of whatever life we have got now, has Abhay proven his point, or there is still something to be proven as a point?
Yeah, there is still something to be proven.
Uh, is it something that you want to share, or you want to keep it
Yeah, basically appropriate technology to be put for, which is appropriate for Indian context. I think gestation of that is something which we are working on, and that's the reason we thought of putting next 10 years of our active life right into that stuff.
Superb, superb. I think it's a great motto, great motivator. Just asking a question further, is that the one that keeps you motivated, or are there any other avenues of, say, meditation or something else that keeps you up and running every day,
Yeah,
every night?
yeah, because ultimately you need energy,
Hmm.
okay, and you need the cool of mind in the present situations and all. So a meditation at least around 30 minutes every day with and around say half an hour or cycling kind of thing. A very moderate one, not very aggressive at all. But I think that keeps the energies up for the complete day.
And do you believe people say that being distant from negative thoughts, minds helps you? So do you kind of intentionally be away from negative thoughts, or people who bring
You,
in those kind of vibes?
you can be, but the problem is like you cannot be away from that.
Sure.
So not being distant, being ignorant about it is much more appropriate, and developing the ability to ignore that
Right, right. Maybe
part of it.
build a kind of a
That's
shield,
important. Yes.
which actually protects
Yeah.
you, your inner core.
And absolutely. And that comes from meditation. Meditation is one. And typically, the social contribution plan will allow you to build that kind of layer of satisfaction within you, which will allow you to basically have this wall of ignorance when the negative thoughts come, because you already contributed something to neutralize that. And that's how I actually have realized it.
Right, right. I was just trying to ask, maybe in the next question, like, do you think that our power or our energy, the human energy, is like a battery where we also need to go back and recharge it?
Yeah, it's like a battery. Only like you, we never know what reserve it has. Okay, otherwise it's yeah.
Yeah, at places, if you go to some places like Himalaya, people say that, okay, you get that in aura. Some temples have that kind of aura where you get that energy.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it may be not, but
Uh,
definitely if you because I visited this Nehalaya that is in Ahmednagar,
mhm.
and when I went to their adoption center, I was there amidst 20, 30 small babies,
Oh,
and I think aura over there was I don't know. There's something aura which I could
oh,
even, relate today. Okay, there.
oh,
Then definitely that. So even I had give. Uh, See, last year we had through Chedda we donated around a complete solar system for that.
okay.
I personally had a lot of contribution on that.
Oh, good. Mm.
But real aura comes to me at least. I found that as much more auratic situation for me till now.
Excellent, excellent. I think that's a blessing to get that kind of an experience. It's pretty rare and uh, pretty important to have, I think, as an experience. Great. I would say, coming to maybe the last section, I would ask you. I think you've given enough number of lessons for entrepreneurs to be careful about how the product gets to the market. But anything that you want to say to them about their mindset, about how to look at any kind of a so-called the difficult situation like pandemic, how they should look at it.
Yeah, pandemic. I think we should. It's not too good. Great. There are a lot of challenges we face. We should treat this as one of it. Bit severe, but not beyond that. Thing number one. Thing number two is I think just running behind the cost for business is not justifying in short run, long run. It doesn't justify at all.
Okay.
We need to be at points we need to take risks and try to work differently and ensure that the right technology is just in. We are blessed with the volumes, so costs for us should not be a worry about. Unless, but one thing is what is a collaborative working, okay, and that's one discriminative factor when we look at the markets like China and all. We know what kind of collaboration they work with. I think that's another which I see is more of a collaborative, open-minded working together. That is another thing which I see that we should be looking at.
Wonderful. Yeah.
For electric vehicle forward, I think it's going to be just a guided tour for us because the volumes are blessings for us.
Superb. I think, Abhay, it had been a great discussion. I never wanted to stop this, and we will keep on having more and more about electric vehicle. And I think you have led bigger converse saying that you want to be an enabler for largest type of technology to mankind and India specifically. So wonderful interaction with you. Thank you so much, Abhay.
Thank you. Thanks.
Good, and we wish you all the success in your personal as well as professional initiatives that you take up. May your work get recognized not only in India but global world across. You being humble, you might not have that kind of a zeal for that, but you definitely deserve that. And your dream of being an enabler for technology for India as well as the world, may that also be successful. So God bless, Abhay. Thank you so much for being on this.
Thanks, Shirish. It was really last 1 hour or whatever time we talked. It was a very, very different experience for me. Thank you.
God bless you. Thank you.
बिजनेस कोई भी हो, सक्सेस की नींव हम रखते हैं।
बुलंदियों को छूने की आपके अरमानों की उम्मीद जगाती जोत है, हर सपनों का हम स्रोत है।
सही स्ट्रेटेजी, परफेक्ट डिसीजन मेकिंग और बिजनेस ग्रोथ के लिए हम आपके साथ कंधे से कंधा मिलाकर आपकी स्वप्न पूर्ति करते हैं। स्त्रोत कंसल्टेंट, सिनर्जाइजिंग ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन।